9 former employees of the Wisconsin Department of Corrections now are experiencing life on the other side of the justice system.
One of them, the former warden at Waupun Prison, Randall Hepp, is charged with misconduct in public office and is in custody. The other 8 face charges of inmate abuse, which is a felony.
This all began last June when the Dodge County Sheriff says an inmate died by suicide. 2 more people died in October, one from an overdose, the other from a stroke.
Trailhand Bill. What they say we at today, guys? Wisconsin, I think he said. I'm actually at the beach, my beach anyway, man. This beautiful lake view. I love it over here, man. It's so peaceful. I haven't been here in a couple of days. I always come here when I need to. What's going on in your world, man? I don't really do social media like that. I have accounts, man, and I definitely don't do it, post or anything like that. But I go on there every once in a while, you know what I'm saying, to keep up with what's going on. Not like in the world, but like with my family and friends and stuff back home. So I was on there today, and one of my cousins had posted this thing from Georgia. And I used to follow these pages, man. It was about murders and deaths that had happened in Georgia prisons. And, you know, I knew, but like I said, I used to follow the page, so I know how corrupt and just, I mean, it's violent in prisons, man. It's getting even more so. Specifically in Georgia, that's the one I keep up with because that's where I'm from. But like I say, my cousin posted this thing and I was looking at it and I thought it was going to be something short. And no matter how short it is, it's horrific that, you know, we're going to talk about that later in the video. But I mean, I was still looking and scrolling probably like 3 or 4 minutes later. And that is a lot of scrolling to do. And actually it was probably like 5 or 6 minutes later. And every single post was about an inmate that had been murdered in Georgia correctional institutions. And so I know people have their feelings about that. They're in there that, like I said, we're going to discuss all of that. But this story right here came across my desk, and for me, it was just ironic in life that they both came together at the same time. Let's see what's going on in Wisconsin, if I remember correctly.
The most recent death happened in February, allegedly caused by mistreatment from staff. This was ultimately ruled a homicide.
The sheriff says that that inmate had his water turned off for a significant amount of time, was not monitored, and did not have direct medical care. The inmate, who suffered a stroke, was dead in his cell for 12 hours.
They don't call their inmates, they call them persons within our care. The investigation that we have done has revealed that that phrase does not accurately depict what persons in our care should mean.
Before that news conference, inmates inside Waupun called TMJ4 News to describe conditions inside the maximum security prison.
With their permission, Ben Jordan shares their perspectives in their own words.
We received more than half a dozen calls from inmates we verified are inside the Waupun Correctional Institution. We aren't sharing their names out of safety concerns. They want everyone to know just how they're being treated, describing some of the same conditions Sheriff Dale Schmidt calls infuriating. From the Waupun Prison directly to the TMJ4 newsroom.
TMJ4 News guys on the phone right now!
Those locked up inside are reaching out for help.
This is getting ridiculous. People are dying in this institution.
As their voices are nearly drowned out by other inmates yelling in the background.
I got here March 28th of this year, and I'm shocked at what's going on here.
Some claim they're under constant lockdowns and forced to live in filth.
We don't get showers, which we haven't taken showers right now for 9 days.
Another inmate's biggest concern, allegations of illegal drugs being circulated.
Whatever you can think of, it's pretty much here.
All in what's supposed to be a maximum security penitentiary.
What they're doing here is cruel and unusual punishment. They are treating us like animals. We don't come out of our rooms. People here suffer from mental health issues. Nothing's being done.
Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt says the oldest prison in the state is being run in a reckless and dangerous manner. He says 4 deaths in 1 year is far too many.
These people were not cared for, and they are people.
One by one, the sheriff went through what he says the criminal investigation uncovered.
Evidence shows that the decedent was dead in his cell at least 12 hours before he was discovered on the morning of October 30th, 2023. I'll say that again. He was dead in his cell for over 12 hours until they located him the next morning.
From allegations of missing cell checks to missing meals.
Correctional officers failed to feed the decedent 9 out of 12 meals over a 4-day period.
Inmates tell us despite their convictions, they are still people who deserve more resources and better living conditions.
Something's got to be done. Something has to be done.
Sheriff Schmidt says the Waupun Prison staffing is at just 50%, but he says that's not the only thing that needs to be addressed. He's calling for the whole prison to be shut down, to be renovated or rebuilt, to have up-to-date infrastructure to meet the needs of a maximum security prison. Reporting in Milwaukee, Ben Jordan, TMJ4 News.
And our team continues to sift through the criminal complaint from Dodge County, and we'll have more tonight on TMJ4 News at 10.
Well, they didn't say much about the criminals that were arrested, the domestic terrorists that were arrested, but I'm literally in shock right now, man. Rest in peace to those 4 people who lost their lives. Let's start there, man. This dude said 4 deaths in what, a year or a couple of months or a short amount of time. I think he said like a year is too many. Man, I guess we should start here. Like, I am rest in peace to those victims. Do not misconstrue what I'm about to say. Man, shout out to Wisconsin. He just said 4 deaths in a year is too many. I have a question though. I think it was a fair question for the sheriff. Did it take this for you to come out and say this, sir? How long has your prison been in these conditions? Is this something that you should have said, or you just now in political mode, saving face? I really, this is one of those instances when I wish I had to research the story, because I want to know if this dude is genuine and sincere, if he's just up there doing this put on face routine. But anyway, man. They say 4 deaths. I'm gonna tell you guys why I keep harping on that. It's too many. And then they actually arrested 8. I'm wondering if those other 8 people were from the command staff. I'm pretty sure all of them may have not been, but I wonder if they were. But definitely got the warden. That is, to me, and in my recollection, an unprecedented move. So man, shout out to you guys for that. Hopefully you prosecute them as you would anyone. I want to talk about a little bit about prison, guys, and why I harped on that 4. I told you guys I've seen the post on my cousin's page, and I told you a little about what blew me away, that I was scrolling. I stopped. I promise you. I never finished the post. I couldn't, man. It was just too horrific. We're going to talk about that. But one of the things that was shocking and like just breaking my heart, so many of them were just this year. So when I hear this guy say 4, in my mind, while I'm watching that in the video with you guys, I'm thinking, yo, we got to get Wisconsin to Georgia, man. And probably to Louisiana and some of these other states. I just did a video about, the Louisiana warden and prison guards and sheriffs. They let 4 guys escape. 3 of them were, arrested. They weren't convicted yet, but they were arrested for murder. And one of them was arrested for armed robbery. So they let 2 guys escape. And by the time they could get to the jail, I think that was Saturday night. You got to go watch the video. I'll link it right here, Lord willing. The 2 of the guys escaped Saturday night sometime, and before the command staff could get to the jail, the sheriff and the other command staff could get to the prison, not a jail, 2 more people had escaped. So they never said how long does it take anyway. So when this guy has, I hope he's being genuine, but when he has this much of a concern for 4 lives, which he should, if it was 1, that would be way too many. I just can't help but think about these places that I keep up with these type of things. I have a brother in jail right now. Not my biological brother, but he's a brother of mine and been there for almost 30 years, if not 30 already. So in Georgia. So, these type of things come across my desk often. I wish he was in Georgia, man. I mean, you can go online right now. I'm pretty sure most of you know this, and you can see, especially from my state, but all over, the United States and the world, really. But I'm not trying to be insensitive to the rest of the world, but I just kind of want to focus right here for now. Prayers and compassion for what they're going through too. But I just kind of want to focus right here for now. You can look all over, the internet and see videos from all over United States prisons. So let me just touch on that real quick, because some people will still ask in 2024, how are they calling, right? Obviously they have prison phones, man, but it's part of the black market prison system, industrial complex that the government damn well takes part in. Like the guy said, brother, everything that we got on the streets, they got in prison. And they would love to tell you that the inmates are sneaking it in and their family and friends through visitations. But no, their correctional staff are bringing it in, because most of them are making anywhere between, and I'm just going to jump out there and say this, they're probably making anywhere between $35,000 to $55,000 a year, unless they're on the command staff, and they can make 2 times what they make in a month by just bringing in 2 cell phone batteries in most of these prisons in the United States. And that's just the reality of things. You don't believe me, do the investigation yourself. And by investigation, all I mean, type in some keywords on your favorite search engine. So for anybody wondering how they may be calling, yes, they have jail phones and things, but man, they got cell phones just like you got a cell phone in most of these prisons if you can afford one. The biggest thing, guys, I personally, my name is Trailhand Bill, guys. How you doing? I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Blessings from God's South Florida, man. I wish you nothing but God's best. I'm not a phony person. I promise you. I don't phony kind. I don't phony not kind. Whatever, you know, that's who I am. Like, so when I say these things, I mean them. God bless you. I'm Trailhand Bill. Nice to meet you. I'm American, for real. I don't have like a percentage of America, and I'm American, man. You know, I believe in the good thing. When I say that, I'm not part of the, and I am. We all are. We have our good and bad. But I'm saying I'm part of. I believe in the morality that America pretends to stand on. I believe in that, right? Because I was raised in this country. I was raised in these conditions: the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm saying all that to set the stage for this. I see a lot of people who figuratively march and morale for constitutional rights, but they do it very selectively. I want to invite you to realize I'm not one of those persons, and I don't particularly care for the morality of those type people. So if you're a constitutionalist, and if you claim yourself to be an American, then you have to also stand up for the rights of American citizens, even those that you may not prefer. Specifically inmates. Because they are one of the most denigrated, besides the displaced / homeless of our society, man. It is despicable, and has always been to me how we as an American public treat them. I could have left this to the end, but I want to go ahead and get it out of the way so we don't have any misunderstandings. I'm not making excuses for people who are actually guilty of crimes and have created victims out of other innocent people. That's what the prison system and the penal system itself is for. So I'm not doing that. But I'm also acknowledging as well that there are people in our prison systems who aren't guilty. What I am definitely doing is reminding us that no matter if they're guilty or innocent in our judicial system or in our judicial process, they are still American. And this is not Nazi Germany or any of those other countries where we just treat our citizens like they're not our citizens. That's all I'm trying to communicate. The justice system, the Constitution of our country demands that even American prisoners be treated like human beings, that their basic human rights be met. One problem, I say this, I tell you guys this all the time about police stations. Every damn near industry that I've come in contact with, and I've known this has been going on in the prison industrial complex because, like I say, I have my brother in there. They're short-staffed, man. I'm telling you, you can see videos of Georgia prisons where the dudes are like, yo, ain't nobody in here for hours at a time, and we running it ourselves, feeding ourselves and whatever. When the dude said the guy's body had been in there for a couple of hours, man, do you know how many stories there are about Georgia prisoners, some of them happening this year, whose bodies had been in showers or locked in a closet or in their room for days? I'm not making these things up. Dead bodies, somebody's family members, somebody's son murdered, stuffed in a bedroom under a bed for days. A prison cell under a bed for days. So when I'm telling you, when this guy's saying 4 and, in a year and, a couple of hours, like, I'm like, yo, you're right. That's horrible. But man, if we need you in Georgia, we got Armageddon down there, and I'm not making it up. And they don't deserve this, guys. And you can't call yourself an American. You can't say you stand for the Constitution, but then you have the attitude where, hey, they got what they deserve, what they think prison gonna be like. Listen, prison needs to be like America. That's what the hell it needs to be like. They are obviously, if they're in prison, that is them paying their debt to society. We don't need to or get to then dehumanize them because we are somehow morally superior than them, that we get to add extra punishment on them. That's not American. That's as police and as terroristic as the stuff that we call cops out for. We're no better when we do it. I'm not okay with that. And this, trust me, this has to do with my brother being in there, but this has nothing to do with my brother being in there. My brother doesn't deal with any of this, and he's in some of the Georgia prisons that is happening. I told you he's been in there for 30 years, if not more. And that's why he doesn't have to deal with these things. He's been in there long enough to know how to navigate it. My brother don't have any of these stories, but he has them from a periphery. I mean, he told me one time, hey, they just killed a dude downstairs, and he didn't say it callously, but I'm just telling you, that's what he told me. So it's real, man. And the crazy thing is, if you hear about a lot of these Georgia cases, what makes it even more infuriating is you got a lot of these stories where you got a guy in there for theft by receiving in there with a guy that's in there for natural life or something like that, or 4 or 5 life sentences, and they right beside each other, man. Like, it's a recipe for murder. And just because they're prisoners doesn't mean that they need to be terrorized on American soil. They're American prisoners, guys. And that's kind of the point that I wanted to drive home. Because I know a lot of people, and it's very hypocritical, they just rant and rave about America and our constitutional rights. We rant and rave about how the government outside in the free world terrorizes us, but we're okay with it. We partner with this terrorist government that we rally against to be able to, even silence his consent. So we partner with them to terrorize American prisoners. But I say we, but no, I draw a strong, thick line in the sand. I ain't with that. Let that man or that woman go to that prison you sent them to and serve their time under whatever, barriers, bonds, how prisons are set up, bro. You got walls, you can go, you can't, whatever. However that works in there, let them go do that. But don't be putting them in no damn conditions. In one of those cases in Georgia, they set it up like a damn dog fight or something. I've heard the stories about this in Cali too. They put them in the cells and rooms together so they have to fight each other and kill each other. No, that's not American, man. That's terrorism. And if you think that's okay just because somebody has been convicted of a crime, so whatever the hell happens to them from there, then I submit to you, once again, like I did in the last video, very respectfully and kindly, we're not fighting the same war. I'm American through and through. I'm not okay with any type of terrorism. We're American. Everybody deserves to be treated like, first and foremost, we're God's children, so everybody deserves to be treated like a human. Secondly, we're American, so we have those citizenship rights. Even if we're prisoners, we are American prisoners, right? A lot of us feel like we're prisoners out here, but our gripe is we're Americans, so why are we being treated like prisoners, right? So if I'm in a cell and I'm not getting fed for 9 days, or not getting the shower when I'm supposed to be getting fed 3 times a day, I'm not getting the shower for weeks at a time when I'm supposed to get a shower a day, or however that goes, I'm not getting any of that, then yes, I'm in prison, man. I'm serving my time. Because now when these people come home and they had to survive those type conditions and they see that and they bring that mentality into the world, it's like we do our kids. We raise them, we rear them, we guide them, we example them, and then when they go wrong, down the wrong road, we look at how bad they are. We abandon them. It's all about them. They're solitary and they're mess. Leave them out there alone. Solitude. They messed up alone. It's the same thing we do to them. They trying to pay their debt to society. Let them pay their debt to society in a humane condition and let them come home and try to rehabilitate. That's another thing I don't like about our prison system. It's no rehabilitative. There's nothing about it that's rehabilitative. It's only punitive. I can't stand it. And just like a lot of people won't realize what police brutality is and how they need to use their voices and their beings to stand up against it, I fear a lot of us won't realize the same thing until we have someone in prison. Whether, like, people get locked up for crimes they didn't commit all the time, so whether they're guilty or innocent, until we have someone in there and they're writing at home or calling home and telling us, hey, my cellmate just got murdered. Hey, can you send me some money because these guys are saying they're gonna do this if I don't have this one. Hey, we haven't eaten in 4 days in here and I need, like, until that's your loved one, maybe you would just feel like it's only certain constitutional rights that you need to stand up for. No, I'm American through and through. I believe we should stand up for all constitutional rights. When they go through that judicial process, it's outlined. It's laid out, their punishment. That's the only thing they owe the public. That's how I feel about it. Now, as far as the families and the victims and stuff like that, that's another moral conversation. But punitively, our justice system sets the tone. And once the tone has been set, anything else is inhumane. Shout out to Wisconsin for holding these cowards accountable. I hope, like I say, they prosecute them to the fullest extent like they would do anybody else. It is not a small thing to me, man. I wish maybe I'll put that clip of some of that clip of that Georgia thing, and I know this is going on all throughout our nation. And now I'll expand the conversation. Prisoners worldwide are being treated like this. Much worse in other countries. Much, much worse in other countries. And for me, guys, like I say I'm American through and through, but even more, I'm a Christian through and through. I just believe in God's righteousness and God's justice. Even when I don't exhibit it myself, it is still the only truth. And anything that stands against that, then I must stand against it. Trailhand Bill, live from South Florida. I'm at my beach today, y'all. Thank you if you made it this far. If you liked the video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it. If you care to go a little further than that, maybe even subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check out a few of the other videos on the channel. Either way, y'all be safe.
Cell phone video shot inside a Georgia prison provides a stark example of how few officers are actually on the job these days.
The video shows a dead prisoner slumped over a cell block railing while others complain he's been there for hours, all because no officer is on duty in their section of the prison.
Smith State Prison is just, unfortunately, one of the worst ones that we're seeing right now.
Since the start of the year, the Georgia Department of Corrections says there have been at least 5 homicides at this prison alone.
Tonight, we're hearing from a man who says he survived an attack that left a fellow inmate dead. We recently told you how the father of Marcus Pearson Jr. said he was unable to get answers for 2 years after someone stabbed his son to death at Telfair State Prison.
Channel 911.
Hey, this is the nurse on duty at Rogers State Prison. We need 2 ambulances en route to pick up 2 offenders. They're both unresponsive.
If I had kept going, which heartbreakingly I could have, you would have heard the gentleman mention how they reached out to the Justice Department, and the Justice Department is investigating the Georgia Department of Corrections, and the Georgia Department of Corrections is proudly not complying, what the cops say all the time, cooperating. So that's sad, man. I could have kept going with those videos, but the reason I didn't is because I'm not necessarily into proving points as much as I am hopefully trying to widen the perspective of a conversation. I'm not naive to the fact that some of these people, men and women in prison, have done horrible things to other human beings, innocent human beings, vulnerable and helpless human beings. I'm not naive or ignoring that at all. I mentioned that a little bit in the video. It's still a very, very constrained conversation for me, guys. We're either American or we aren't. We either believe in vigilante justice or we don't, right? We either believe in the laws that we all agree should govern our justice system, even though we know that our government steps outside of the bounds of them all of the time. I'm talking about us, you know what I mean? We can't say this over here and say that over there. We have to deal with our own hypocrisy. So for me, it's like this. If we get to decide if Americans break laws, we can go above and beyond the punishment that our judicial system gives them, then we also have to be open to the reality that others get to decide that for us. And what that looks like is a lot of just anarchy, guys, because this woman will decide she gets to murder you because you cut her off in the line at Panera Bread, and who are you to tell her that cutting her off in the line at Panera Bread wasn't worthy of you being murdered? Just like you can decide, even though these guys have committed this crime and our justice system has said this is their penalty, you get to decide that they deserve more. I mean, you can't just open that Pandora's box and think you get to close it when it comes and visits you and yours. Like how does that saying go? If you don't say anything when it comes for everybody else, eventually it will come for you. So that's kind of my thing. I'm not saying let these people off the hook. I'm not overlooking some of the horrific crimes that some of them have committed. I'm saying they're still American. They're also mixed with a bunch of people who very well may be innocent. So even if you're okay with them being treated like that, which you shouldn't be because it's unconstitutional, it's not American at all, how do you separate and differentiate between those and that we know some of them are absolutely innocent? So no, let's just stick to what we all know to be right and true and just, man. We treat humans like humans. If they have to pay a penalty for crimes they've committed, that will be laid out clearly in their sentencing guidelines, man. Any rights that they lose, it will be laid out clearly in their sentencing guidelines. Any penalty or any rights that they're deprived of above and beyond that is just that unconstitutional deprivation of rights. And, I just think, I like consistent morality. So if we are okay with other Americans being deprived of their constitutional rights, then how upset can we really be when these government-sanctioned domestic terrorists decide it's okay for them to deprive us of our rights? It's either consistent morality or total anarchy, man. This isn't a cake and eat it too situation. Those inmates are living in total anarchy and they begging to be rescued from it. I'm not interested in trying my luck. Give me consistent morality.